loves. I really wanted to come to you this week and talk about something that has been, I think, both on my heart and also my mind, because I'm seeing how so many loved ones around me and also people in my community are really struggling with their emotions, the things that are really the stressors of all the things that are happening in the media and the world right now. And valid, totally valid that a lot of us are feeling it emotionally, feeling the intensity, feeling the stress, feeling the anger, feeling the sadness, feeling depression, right? Our hearts are breaking, and some of us are jumping into action. Others of us are kind of lashing out. Some of us are crumbling inside, right? Doing all of the things. And one of the things that I have really noticed also is collectively there is a lot of anger, and rightly so, right? Because we're seeing so many things happen in our world, boundary pushing, rights being stripped, unfair things happening to our loved ones or to ourselves or to groups of people that we care about. And we don't want to see this happening in the world. And secondly, the other piece for those of you that have really been feeling it, where you're like, I care and I'm empathic, but also it feels like things are extra intense for me right now and I don't understand why. For a lot of us that have experienced boundary violations, we are also feeling the anger, feeling the intensity of things unprocessed. So we have over here what's happening in the world and the anger that it naturally brings up. And then we have over here our own personal experiences that have still not been processed that are amplifying the anger even more intensely, right, in our bodies. And either that's going sideways and you're lashing out, you're getting passive aggressive, or sometimes it's being turned inward and you're getting more self-critical, more depressed, more sad, more shut down. I've seen all of the above happen with clients. And unfortunately, as a woman in our culture today, we have been cultured to not feel our anger. And therefore, what we have in, with that is women that really don't know how to process their anger because they've never been encouraged to do that. They've never been taught how to do it, right? Not to say that men are always necessarily doing this in a healthy way either. So I'm not saying that. But I will say that every single female client that I've ever worked with has needed some type of coaching around feeling her anger and releasing it. Because for most of us within our bodies, we actually constrain and suppress the anger because it feels unsafe to have it and to move it through our bodies. So we're like, oh, like I have this thing and I can't feel it and it's not okay to feel it because we've been told so many times it's not okay to feel it. I personally, on multiple occasions, have been told, like anything that I do that feels in the masculine vein or anger or any sort of irritability, like I've gotten lots of feedback within my career about, don't be so direct, and if you come in and make friendly first, and all of these things, right? Very much insinuating that I needed to follow this nurturing, nicey nice personality before it was allowed to express any sort of feedback or things that were not okay or any sort of boundary pushing. So I very much, from a personal standpoint, understand what it is to get a lot of feedback about it not being okay to express any level of anger, irritability, whatsoever. With that, what ends up happening? What ends up happening is that we don't know how to express the anger, so it either builds up inside of us and then goes bleh, like all at once, right? Like all this water out of a hose at one time. Or in a lot of cases, it gets turned inward and we start to shut down, right? Neither of those things do I want for you. In fact, my vision and what I'm trying to create within my own coaching practice is helping people to really live in their bodies, feel their emotions, and process things in real time. Because for me, I believe that's where the beauty is of being a human, right? Being connected. Our emotions are the color. And if we can feel our emotions in a healthy way, we can allow them to move through our body, our days and our lives have so much more color. At least that's what I feel like for me. That's my truth. But for a lot of us, because we are suppressing the emotions when they come out, they're not coming out in the easy, natural way. They're coming, it's coming out in a very, or like yelling, it's coming out in a really intensified way or a constipated way. And that's not how I want you to be processing emotions. So how do you process emotions? How do you approach this? Great question. So glad you asked. So I've just created a very low ticket offer, a $9 offer of a training that I've done on how to emotionally process, aptly called Don't Let Them Make You Crazy. And in this training, I walk you through a 6-step process that'll take you from the original trigger, the emotional trigger around getting angry or sadness, really whatever it is, and then walk you through to the very end, which is reframing and being able to reappraise the situation, having that clarity. Because once we release the emotional charge around something that is pissing us off, we come out on the other side with clarity in how to handle and deal with that situation rather than just go psh and lash out on someone, right? Anger is powerful. Anger is like fire, right? And it can be used for sustenance. It can be used to warm the house. It can be used to feed us, right? To cook our food. And so I think there's valid, beautiful reasons for anger, but it can also be used to burn the house. It can be used to destroy. So how do you want to use your anger? So I'm not saying let's get rid of your anger so you can go back into being all perfectly zen-like and get with the program and don't be mad and fall in line. Let's not fall in line, but let's use our anger in a way that is useful, productive, right? Let's put that power to work for us. So in this training, it's a standalone training. It doesn't require you to have any additional coaching or tools, right? This isn't selling you a bicycle that doesn't have wheels. It's straight up just $9 for you to go through this full process and dip your toe into a process that is going to be a containment process. So, right, so imagine that hose again. We're just letting a little bit of water out of the valve of the hose. We're not turning it all the way on. It's a containment process that's going to help you in starting to open up and start to move through these emotions a little bit at a time. And it gives you an opportunity to see if really mind-body tools are things that work well for your system, work well for your body, right? Do you respond well to that? And if so, then I would love to support you in additional work. But hey, if it's not your thing, no big deal. But giving this a try, because let's face it, we've got a lot more coming down the pike, and we're gonna need to have a way, a system to release these emotions, get these out of our system so that we can really be in a place where we're not burnt out, we're not overly stressed, and we can be the best versions of ourselves in a bad situation, right? Or, you know, any situation, really. Not to say things are bad, right? There's beauty and there's life all around us all the time. So I'm not saying that. But really to be able to have that, right, that strength and that resource to us, even when things are challenging and when things are hard. Okay, my loves, take care of yourself, love yourself, and love those around you. Until next time. Mwah.